So hi everyone, welcome back to Brook Valley Life, or hello for the first time. Today we're going to continue with our upgrades. What can we put on our bow to help us shoot better scores, get our technique well, and yeah, overall what we can add to the bow really. So come with me, we'll go onto the desk. I can show you a couple of things extra on top of what I've already showed you in the last video, and then in the next video we can look at upgrading from our beginner bow, from when we've started, up until our intermediate shooting, and then up into the elite areas. And you'll find that there are some elite shooters that will use bows that they've had for a long time because they like shooting with them. They like the way the limbs feel. What you're going to see at the Olympics, what you're going to see at the World Cups, all of these places are the top shooters, and they're all going to be using the new equipment. Why? Because they're given it by the companies. If you've got somebody like Kim Woo-jin, Mr. O, Brady Ellison, Jack Williams, all these guys, that's just the males. There are female archers as well. Casey Cofield, all the people like that, they're shooting the brand new equipment because they're given them by the companies, because they want their archers using the new equipment to win the prizes, so us Joe Public will go out and buy them. It's a lot like golfers. Yeah, you come, they've started the season, they've all got the new equipment, and average Joe says, this guy's hitting it 350 yards. I want that driver. I want these irons. And that's how it works. They don't have to pay for them. They get them given. They win or come in the top so many, and people will say, they must be good. Are these bows and limbs better than what's come the year before, the year before, the year before? There's always a little bit of increase in forgiveness and what they're made from, more stability in your bow, but a lot of it, especially at our level, comes down to technique. And you can have a cheap bow which you shoot extremely well because you've got very good technique, and you could have somebody who's got all the gear and no idea, good way of putting it, top of the range, 10 grand's worth of equipment, and they can't shoot for anything. So let's have a quick look at what we can upgrade to, final few bits before we start upgrading the major parts, and see what everyone thinks. So let's go and have a look. So let's have a look at some more upgrades we can do to our bow to help us shoot better. Now, as we've seen in the previous video, we can upgrade to a button, a wraparound rest or stick-on rest that's adjustable as well, and also change our sight and sight pin to make it easier to aim, and it's what our eye likes to look at. So in today's video we'll look at some other upgrades we can do to help our shooting and to provide us with more feedback and just make shooting an overall nicer feel for us. So let's have a look and see what we've got. So here we have some extra bits and bobs we can put onto our bow to make shooting a lot easier. First of all, we'll start off with our little damper. Now, our riser only allows for a stabilizer, a single stabilizer, so we couldn't fit our damper onto this riser, but on all other metal risers, or most of the metal risers you're going to come from, you're going to have a bushing at the top and at the bottom. Hang on a second, I've got another riser here, and here we have it. So here's our riser. You've got a bushing at the top, bushing at the middle, and bushing at the bottom. And what does that allow? That allows us to put a damper, if we want to, screw it in top and bottom. Why would we want to do that? Why would we want to put a little bit of extra weight and some rubber in there? Well, we do it to reduce vibration. What is vibration? Vibration is a noise. Yeah, well, noise is a vibration actually. And when we shoot the bow, our limbs, depending on what they're made from, temperature, size, speed, and all this type of thing, will vibrate at different frequencies. Therefore, you'll get a different noise coming from them, and you'll feel it through the handle, just here. Now, some people like to get feedback from their bow. Others like to have a bow, they say, dead in their hand, so they can't feel anything. I prefer having it dead, nice and quiet, and this is where this comes in. So the vibration comes into it, goes through the rubber, and the rubber dampens it out, and it can come back in. Plus a little bit of extra weight up top always helps balancing my bows. So, dampers, they come in all different types and sizes. I use Cartel, I think it is, on my competition bow. I always use one at the top, and that is it. Second, to help us shoot better. And you can see one just here. And we have a thing called a clicker, and here's another one. It's carbon and metal. Now, I bought this one because I thought, oh, that's a nice design. That'd be really clever. I can move up and down. But I found that it's really, really weak, and I get a very, very poor click from it. This is a metal one. And as you can see, yeah. But what is it for? What does it do? If you're beginning archery, you see these things and you think, why have people got those on them? Well, recurve bows, unlike compound bows, you can keep drawing back and back and back and back and back and back until you get to a certain point where, yeah, you can't draw back anymore because your arms aren't long enough. Whereas a compound bow has a set draw length. You take it back that far and it stops. Now, if we change our draw length for every shot on a recurve bow, the arrows are going to go higher or lower because you're putting more force into the arrows with each shot. If we have a way of measuring how far back we're drawing, yep, so if the arrow goes under it and we draw back, and as the arrow point comes through, it goes, as the arrow comes through, yeah, and the point goes past and that goes click against the clicker plate here, we know we're at the same spot every time that clicker hits that plate. So if we were to be able to shoot exactly the same each time, our arrows would hit on the same point of the target every time we shot. Now, we're human. Yeah, there's other things like wind and heat and cold, but this gives us the best draw check that we can use on a recurve bow, Olympic recurve. Now, again, even with this one, yes, it makes a good clicky noise, but I use carbon ones like that, and they make a crack, a real loud noise. The reason I went to carbon is when you're on the shooting line, or this is my hearing anyway, you're next to people with other clickers, you're next to people with compound bows. That was the worst thing. And some of those compound releases that they use have 2 or 3 different clicks as they go through. And I would be coming up to full draw, they would be clicking their releases, and I'm there thinking, oh, was that my clicker? Was that their release? And whatever. So I've gone to a carbon clicker so I can hear, and you can just about feel it through your handle as well. So all it is a real draw check to make sure you're drawing your bow back at exactly the same time, at the same distance each time you draw the bow. So what have we looked at so far? Dampers to make the bow feel better when you shoot. Clicker to make sure you're drawing back the same distance each time you shoot. Now, both of those should help when you shoot your bow. Now, the final thing for an upgrade for your bow, and here we have it. And you might think, oh, what is this? This is a carbon stabilizer. But what does it do? Well, it's telling you what it's doing. It is a stabilizer. It's stabilizing your shot. Now, I think the best way of thinking about this is a tightrope walker. When you see the old pictures of tightrope walkers and they've got that big pole in between their hands and it keeps them steady, this is what your stabilizer is doing. It bolts onto the front of your riser, just there, or just there on the little one. Excuse me. And you put weights on the end, as you can see there, and this one has a damper as well. The more weight you can get away from the bow, the less you're going to move at your end. How does it work? Well, it's all to do with force times distance, and if these weights are a long way away from you, it's going to take a lot of force to try and move them. Force times distance, moments and all that type of thing, maths, and I hate all that. However, you can overdo things. If you put too much weight in there, you will fatigue trying to hold it up. So you need to come to a good compromise about the amount of weight of your stabilizer and how much you can hold up. Also, the length of it. You may need a short stabilizer with a lot of weight, or a long stabilizer with a little bit of weight. And this one is carbon. Carbon you'll find in most of them nowadays of the stabilizer systems. Why? Because it's strong, it's tough, it's light, and it's very, very good for this. This is why arrows are made from carbon as well nowadays. It's because it's really tough, but it's light as well. You can get cheap ones, you can get expensive ones. The only thing that I would say, stabilizers do different things. You can put different weights on the end. They'll take out more vibration, they'll do stuff like that. The only thing I've come across between different stabilizers is how they're affected by the wind. The fatter the stabilizer, when you're outside, the more affected you are by the wind. Inside, less. Now, I use, let me come around, as you can see it's a bit of a mess in here. I use a beta or biter stabilizer. And what's different about it? Well, it uses 4 rods and it's held together by these little pucks, best way of putting it, and that acts, it allows the wind to go through them. Short rods, long rods, and on the end you've got your weights as well, just there. And on my other bow I use, let's see if I can pick it up, there we go, a carbon weave stabilizer coming up to weights and a damper as well. Now that is a Chinese brand. It's a toe point. It's cheap, but it works well. But to begin with, what I would say is just get yourself a long rod, get used to the weight, use what you can on the end of it so you can actually shoot. Yes, it will take a little bit of time to get used to, but you will get used to it, and it will keep you, what's the best way of putting this, stiller. A bit more bend. A bit more on the target in one position rather than moving around all over the place like that. Which, so normally you like that on your target. Instead of it doing that, if you haven't got a stabilizer, you may move it down slowly, so it'll do this. So here are the other bits that you can upgrade on your bow to help you shoot better, get you some more points prior to upgrading majorly with a new riser, new limbs, and we'll talk about them next time actually, and even new arrows, because we'll look at the arrows that my daughter used. Are they any good? Do they work? And what she could have gone up to if she was still shooting, and exactly what I did and what I changed from and to, from when I first started to what I'm shooting now. So I hope you've enjoyed this quick look at upgrades for your bow, to help you shoot better, get you some more points when you're first starting out. You don't need to splash out thousands of dollars for upgrades straight away. Go for decent stuff that actually will help your shooting and you can work into. And then later on down the line, you can think about maybe going for an XL sight, maybe going for that $500 worth of stabilizer if you're shooting that's good, because you may buy $500 worth of stabilizers and then you realize you can't shoot with them because they're too heavy. What are you going to do with them then? You could have used that money to buy something else that would have helped your shooting, to bring it along and get you better. So I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, please hit that like button, subscribe, all the good things that you do on YouTube, and I will catch you next time. Bye bye.